Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to chat with me. I am very excited for us to chew the fat a little bit on several topics surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic response. So the viewers will have a good idea of the variety of backgrounds of people involved in the pandemic response. Why don't we first do a round robin of brief introductions before we get into it? So please tell the viewers who you are, your title, and how long you've been at BARDA. And maybe start with Tramel.
Hi, I'm Tramel Faison. I've been at BARDA for 6 years, and I'm the Director of Regulatory and Quality Affairs.
Okay. Marva.
Good afternoon. I'm Marva Taylor. I am a biologist / project officer in CBRN, and I've been with BARDA for 5 years and 9 months.
Okay. Rakia.
Hello, I'm Rikia Spade. I am a program analyst with BARDA with the Division of Research and Innovations and Ventures. And I've been with BARDA for going on 2 years in July.
And last but not least, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen Herring. I've been with BARDA about 5 years now. I'm a biochemist by training, and I am a project officer within the chemical medical countermeasures branch.
Okay. And I guess I need to formally introduce myself. I am Leah Watson, and your moderator for today, and I'm a biologist in the Influenza and Emerging Infectious Diseases Division. And I'm a newbie compared to you all. I've only been here for 9 months. Okay, so now that we got that all out of the way, so let's get into it. For the viewers, BARDA is a core component of the Office of Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, or ASPR, and contributes to the ASPR mission to lead the country in preparing for and responding to health emergencies. The objective of this panel discussion is to highlight BARDA's role in the COVID-19 pandemic response and to shine some light on you, BARDA employees, who have contributed significantly to the pandemic response. Starting with Kristen, what is your background and role in the pandemic response, and what does it mean to you, being from one of the communities most disproportionately affected by COVID, to have participated in this response?
Yes, as I mentioned, I am a project officer within the chemical medical countermeasures branch, which does not deal at all with viruses or COVID. However, right when COVID occurred, it was all hands on deck. And so for the last year, I've been involved on the COVID therapeutics team, initially starting out reviewing proposals, making decisions on funding, and then ultimately being involved in the negotiations and award of some of the monoclonal antibody therapeutics that are out there now. And I am the core for one of them as well. And to be part of this really has got to be one of the highlights of my professional career, right? Because in graduate school, you always think about, how is what I'm doing at the bench going to translate to, actually helping someone in the real world, in real life. And to know that I am directly impacting people, my community in particular is, like I said, it's the highlight of my career.
That's great. But can we just go back just a little bit? You mentioned a core. Could you please explain for the audience what a core is?
Yes, absolutely. Apologies. So contracting officer representative. So I'm the technical lead that acts on behalf of the contracting officer, interacting with the company day to day, managing things.
Okay, great. So Rakia, maybe you next.
Yeah, so I work for the Division of Research and Innovation Ventures team, and during the COVID-19 response, we all were sent to different teams within BARDA, and my role within BARDA was to schedule all of the market research calls and gather the presentations that went along with the market research calls to get to the subject matter experts so they're well informed before the calls even began. And so it was it meant a lot to me to participate in that role, because I had firsthand knowledge of what actually was going on. So it was definitely an honor to participate within that, on that team, on the COVID-19 team.
Okay. So what about your background helped you with market research? Or could you just explain a little bit what market research is?
Yes. So the market research calls are given to the subject matter experts to basically go through the different companies that are applying to receive funding from BARDA for their research on their new technologies, vaccine technologies, and diagnostic technologies. So scheduling those calls are very important for the overall goals for BARDA.
Okay, that's great. Marva, would you please answer the same question, or would you like me to repeat?
No, sure. So I am a biologist slash project officer, and I'm usually in the CBRN vaccines group. So that has, I guess, helped me transition well. I feel like I'm on loan to the emerging infectious disease group, helping with vaccines for Moderna. And my background prior to coming to BARDA is vaccine manufacturing. So that really came in handy. I am a core. Kristen mentioned what cores do, and so I am a core for the Moderna contract. And Moderna is unique because it has a contract with BARDA and the DoD. So I'm working both sides of the coin, so to speak. And what it means to me is it's great in a sense to help spread the word. Our communities are definitely impacted by COVID, and it helps me when given the opportunity to push some confidence in the vaccines or the therapeutics. I mean, I've heard so many different takes on what the vaccines will do to you. Kristen is laughing, but it's so true. You hear so many things about what these vaccines will do to you, and so it gives me a platform when I'm talking to my 80-year-old aunt to say, hey, can you please get vaccinated? And she says, well, I heard I'll grow a beard if I get vaccinated. No, ma'am, you're not going to grow a beard. So just please, I'd like to be able to see you in 2021. I didn't see you in 2020. I'd like to be able to see you guys in 2021. So that's what it means to me.
Tramel, same question?
Yeah. So as the Director of Regulatory and Quality Affairs, well, first I have to say that I'm a biologist by training, and then I have a master's degree in regulatory biomedical research and development. I became the Director of Regulatory and Quality Affairs about 2 months before the pandemic. So it's really been crazy baptism by fire. As part of my job, I oversee 3 branches, and each one of those branches has been intimately involved in the COVID-19 response. Our regulatory operations branch we've sponsored 2 EUAs for therapeutics. Our regulatory branch has served on the project coordination team for therapeutics, vaccines, and diagnostics. We've interacted closely with the FDA, kind of serving as a liaison for when issues come up, working with the teams, and especially in vaccines, really, really intimately over at FDA. And then my quality branch, or our quality branch, has been responsible for product acceptance and for auditing the facilities that are producing the vaccine. And we're doing all this as well as our non-COVID work. So it's, like I said, I've learned a tremendous amount. Like Kristen said, it's the highlight of my career to be able to do this. And, I'm just, so happy to be at BARDA at this time, and never thought that I'd be here, but here I am, and, hopefully I'm serving the public health.
Okay. I do believe you all are serving the public health for sure, for certain. So let's go to the next question. So I'd like to provide a little bit of context for our audience also. As you all have mentioned at some point in time, that there is about therapeutics and vaccines that have been approved. There's only one FDA approved therapeutic, to my knowledge, for certain cases of COVID. and a handful of other treatments, including monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies that are available under emergency use authorization. Now we have 3 vaccines available under emergency use authorization, or EUA. But when compared to the history of medical countermeasure development, this has been the most rapid progression from identifying a causative agent to developing therapeutics and vaccines to counteract its effects. So, like you mentioned, that there is a lot of skepticism in the general public. So what would you most like Black people or even other minority populations to know about COVID, vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics, or just the medical countermeasure development process? And if I may say, for Trammell specifically, especially with regards to the overall safety in the Black demographic and the speed of development and regulatory approval processes. So let's see. What would you say, Kristen?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is that the process has been, really the exact same for any other approval. What's different, right, is that normally these things occur in series. So you would not start, large scale manufacturing until you had done all these stage gated steps. And so what we've done now is, in the face of a pandemic, right, you don't have time to wait. And so what the government did was we kind of did things at risk. We said, we understand there's a chance that at the end of all of these clinical studies, drug might not work, vaccine might not work. However, on the off chance that it does work, we're going to go ahead and have enough of this made so that as soon as the FDA says this is good to go, we can give it to people. So it's just, the process, all the quality standards, and Trammell can obviously speak to this, is the same. We've kind of reduced some of the red tape and, those individual processes, but the science still has to stand up to that same gold standard. So that's really what I would tell people.
Okay. Rakia, what would you like most for Black people or other minority populations to know?
I believe working alongside the intelligence scientists of BARDA allowed me to see firsthand that these technologies were, clearly vetted by very intelligent people, and even though it was done in a very in a small time frame, it is very safe and effective for our community, just like it is for other communities.
Okay, thank you. Trammell?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with everything that Kristen said. And to kind of add on to that from the FDA perspective, since we work closely with them, I have a lot of people reach out to me, family members and friends, because they know I'm working on the response and ask me questions. And one of the first things I always tell them is that I've worked closely with the FDA, with the lead of the CBER Center for Biologics and the vaccine lead. And I have the utmost respect and confidence in them. The FDA has really made an effort to make sure that these vaccines are safe and effective, even under emergency use authorization. And I also point out that there won't be more or new clinical studies done. The data from the clinical studies for the EUA will be used for the product licensure. Of course, there'll be more data added, but the point is that there weren't shortcuts taken. The safety data for the vaccines was looked at 2 months rather than 6 months. And even the use of 2 months was very carefully thought out about at what point do people have reactions that we can measure. And so it was chosen for a reason, with the utmost safety in mind. And, now we're getting to the 6 month time. So they're constantly doing pharmacovigilance, monitoring. The CDC and the FDA are constantly looking at signals. And I have the utmost confidence that, the vaccine is safe and effective.
Marva?
So the only two additional things I'd like to say. One, for the vaccines, their platform technology is not new. You know, they've been working on this technology for years, trying to, get it right and doing different clinical trials. So for all three vaccines, it's two technologies. They're tried. So that part is safe. The other part that I like to say is these companies' reputations are on the line. And Moderna is a new company, but Johnson and Johnson and oh my gosh, why am I having a Pfizer?
Pfizer.
Pfizer. They're established pharmaceutical companies, so their reputations are on the line. So it's not to put out a product that would be subpar would taint those companies. So if you're not thinking of, don't think about shortcuts, because there were no shortcuts taken. Those, I mean, it's the name, but those people that work there are professionals, and their careers are on the line as well. So it's safe, and like Tramel says, the data is still being collected. So that's what I say.
Well, thank you all for those very candid answers and just for driving at the heart of these things were done in a safe and effective way, but there were no shortcuts. So I really appreciate you all saying that, and saying that you have the faith in the people around you that have been working towards these goals. So one more, I guess, major question I have for you, since we're running a little bit low on time. To date, of the 27.8 million people who have received their second vaccine dose, there is race and ethnicity data available for about 14.6 million of those. 67.1% of them are non-Hispanic white, and 6.2% are non-Hispanic Black, with Hispanics, Native Americans, and other ethnic groups making up the remaining 27.2%. I think we can all agree that there are several issues at play for this disparity, such as the lack of vaccine therapeutic availability in minority communities, circulating misinformation, and so on. But I like for us to focus on vaccine hesitancy as an outstanding issue. What would you most like to see the United States government do to either begin or kind of ease their way into this conversation about building COVID-19 vaccine and therapeutic confidence among the disproportionately affected communities? Let's start with Kristen.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, right? So as you mentioned, there's some real, right, some legitimate reasons for the distrust. And I think that's the first step, right? We have to acknowledge the root of the distrust, the truth of it, and then the impact of it, right? We all understand the root is racism, right? It just is what it is. And then the truth of that is how that racism kind of permeated healthcare in very specific ways, right? Henrietta Lacks, Tuskegee experiment, those are real things that we have to acknowledge and talk to other Black people about, right? We can't tell them, oh yeah, that happened, but don't worry about it. No, it is, yep, that absolutely happened. And this is where we are now, right? And then the impact of that is really how you get that distrust. And the way to combat that, I think is, having things like this, right? So hearing information from people that look like you, as the kids say, it hits different, right?
Yeah.
Like there's an automatic bond, there's a trust there, and I am going to believe that you would not misrepresent information to me. So I think this is a good first step. But then additionally, I think there is something to be said for sharing success stories, right? So my mom always says that, she's from the show me state, right? You got to show me and then I'll believe it. And so I think it would go a long way if the USG started, publicizing the success stories. Like, for example, my home pastor in North Carolina, I told him about one of the monoclonal antibody treatments when he got COVID. Prior to that, he was one that was really questioning a lot of this stuff. He got the treatment, fully recovered. And so now every day he is posting nonstop on Facebook. He has become a community advocate, sharing the information, and I'm getting phone calls from people that saw his post about it. So I think that is, one of the things that USG could do.
Awesome. Oh, Rakia, you sound like you're ready to go.
Just to piggyback on that, the United States government actually really saying it out loud and continually saying, like, we know why, you have distrust within us, and acknowledging it, and also partnering with faith-based, community-based programs and partnerships within the community. Like Christine said, seeing one of us talk about vaccines and the hesitancy, and acknowledging why the hesitancy. I think it will really help the public that is not familiar with the science behind it as we are. So just seeing us and talking about it in these type of forums, I think will really help bridge that type of gap between the public distrust and what the United States government can do for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Tramel?
So I say go big. I agree with what everyone said about the distrust. I envision a campaign that would encompass ads on television, radio, at bus stops. Go to our communities and put our faces out there. I had someone reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, and I put a lot about what I'm doing on Facebook because I want people to take the vaccine and use it. I had someone reach out to me just 2 days ago and say, "You're awesome. Thank you, because I was not going to take this vaccine. And because of what you have said and what you have done, I got my first shot." So, I mean, just that one person for me was worth it. But I want everybody to do it. I got mine already, and I want everybody to do it.
That's good. That's good. All right, Marva, anything to add?
Agreeing with what everyone else has said. The USG needs to own it. I get concerned when I hear that on the media, Blacks distrust vaccines. I would like to see that switched up a little bit, and the government own and say we've given the African American community or Black community a reason to distrust vaccines or different medicines. And this is how we plan to shift that. I agree, have our faces out there more, talk about it more. And at the end of the day, in my mind, getting over this vaccine hesitancy can also shift in general healthcare for people of color, and the disparities among healthcare for people of color. That honestly is what I hope to see at the end of the day, not just the shift with COVID-19, but across healthcare in general.
Ooh, you guys touched on some points. I wish we had more time to go over all of those points because it was just getting good. This is great. So I really appreciate you all, for one, taking this time away from your very, very busy schedules. I know that your time is very precious, and I appreciate it. And I hope that people viewing this will see from this, like you said, people that look like us, in these roles, trusting that these efforts are actually done orderly and properly and according to protocol and according to federal regulation and all of that. And it's safe for us, and so that we can just move past this, because so many of us are dying and so many of us are not willing to take the vaccine moving forward. So I really want to take some time to thank you all once again for having this chat with me, and I hope we'll have something similar to this again. And I really appreciate you. Thank you.